So this is where it begins. Our new smallholding. What are our plans? Hi folks, welcome to our new smallholding in Sussex. We've just moved in. We've got 2.7 acres. There's plenty of space to be doing what we want to be doing. And now we just got to work out, right, what do we do first? What can we do on this land? And what is it we really want to achieve, particularly in this first year that we're here? So the first thing I'd like to do is to show you around a little bit, show you the different areas that we have, and give you an idea of the kind of things that we're planning on doing. So here are our laying hens. At the moment, unfortunately, they're locked away because of bird flu and the restrictions where they're not allowed to be outside. But in the springtime, we hope to get some more. We've got about 5. We've got exactly 5 left right now. And obviously in the wintertime, they lay a lot less, so we get very few eggs. But in the springtime, we've obviously got more space now than we had in our last house. We're going to get a larger enclosure, and we're also going to get some more hens. So that's going to be step one. So the first area I want to show you is this expansive sort of grass next to the house. It's on a slight slope, but it's a good area. Gets good sunshine, particularly during the summertime. And that's where we're going to have our kitchen garden. So we're going to have a polytunnel at the top, and then we're going to have 10 double raised beds that we can grow loads of veg right through the year, we hope. That's the main growing area of the house. But if we go and have a look elsewhere, we can see that there are a couple of other areas. So here we have the raised beds. These were here beforehand. They're made out of sort of railway sleepers, and they're a really good size. When we came in, the previous owners were still growing a fair bit of veg, so thanks to them we got some nice produce. But the problem with these are that the sleepers are pretty old, and unfortunately most of them are quite rotten. And it just means they're full of wood lice, and they're probably full of slugs, and not really ideal for keeping our sort of veg safe. So what I'm going to do is if I can show you down here, I've just started with this bed down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically remove the sides, and I'm just going to top dress it with mushroom compost, and then we're going to put wood chips on the paths between the different beds, and I'm going to convert each of these beds so that basically we have essentially 7 sort of double growing beds. So that's great. So we're going to have 10 up at the top, where in the kitchen garden area, plus what's in the polytunnel, and then we're going to have these 7 here. So loads of growing space. So you can see here that we've got a fruit section. So we've got some black currants, some red currants, we've also got some gooseberry plants, and you can see over here there's actually some established rhubarb plants, several of them. So we're going to move those once they become completely dormant, and then this whole area is going to be our fruit area. We're going to put a fruiting cage here because there's loads of birds and squirrels and things to protect the fruit, and we're going to have lines of strawberries along the side of the beds. We're going to have the rhubarb, and then we're also going to get lots of raspberry canes and blueberries bushes as well. So it's going to be a really nice fruit section. The property has these, you can see these little small, these sort of trees here. It's got these little apple trees, and they're sort of dotted around, and actually they're really good. They were producing when we arrived, when we moved here, and delicious apples, so that's a big bonus. What we want to do later on the property is there's an area further down that I'll show you in a minute, which at the moment is just a sort of little empty field, and what we want to do is plant a fruit orchard there. But that's obviously something that we can do next year, the year after. So So this is the final sort of area, and basically it's just an open area that had what's called bog rhubarb, which is just a plant that was growing here beforehand. And what we're going to do is I've trimmed it down, and we're going to cover this over for the next few months, and then I'm going to create some beds here as well once the plants have sort of been killed down a little bit. And this is going to be for squashes, for pumpkins, and then also growing for corn. It has a really good aspect here. You know, that's south, and so we get a really good sun aspect. It's not a huge space, but it's certainly big enough that we can get a really good pumpkin patch going, and not have to take up any of our main beds. Obviously, pumpkins and squashes, they like to roam, and they take up loads of space. So this obviously has lots of sort of area around it where the plants can roam. So that's fantastic. So that's the growing areas I've shown you. The properties is fantastic. It has a couple of really beautiful little ponds that you can see. So I'm not sure if there's any fish in them. I have a feeling there might be some carp put in by a previous owner, but we haven't seen anything at all. And so we've got a couple of pond areas. There's also quite a lot of woods. There's basically a sort of acre and a half or an acre and a quarter of kind of woodland, and that's something that we're going to sort of improve as we go along. It's been fairly neglected, so you can see that it's got loads of brambles and cut branches and all sorts beneath it, and it needs a bit of TLC. What we really hope, first thing we have to do is we have to thin these trees out, because they've been planted and they're never thinned, so they're far too close together. They're oak trees, so they're lovely. A lot of them unfortunately have been damaged by squirrels. You can see that the bark has been taken off, and lots of squirrel damage, but we hope to thin them out, and hopefully to sort of improve the understory a little bit. And then eventually we want to be able to keep pigs in there's woods here, and then I'll show you the woods at the other side of the property, which also we want to be able to keep pigs in later on, in a year or two's time, once we get ourselves up and running. So this is that little sort of meadowy bit where we want to plant the orchard. As I said, it's pretty small at the moment. What we hope to do is there's so many sort of dead trees in here behind me. So what we're probably going to do is take some of these off the end, so that we end up expanding the size of this space. So what we want to do is basically plant some fruit trees and some nut trees, and get perennial food rather than just the annual stuff that we're growing with the veg garden. So that's something we really look forward to, and obviously it takes several years for them to sort of grow and establish and to start producing, so we do need to get cracking, but there are a million other jobs because we just arrived. So that's probably for next year, planting some trees. We'll see how we get on. One of the things that we really have an issue with is this blackthorn. You know, it produces sloe berries, which if you like sloe gin are fantastic, but it is the hardest plant for us to manage. It's got these incredibly potent spikes on it, and it just grows really voraciously, so it's all over the property. That, and also the brambles. We've got a lot of brambles too, so we do have a lot of clearing to do. And that's something that we will just try and do over time. We've obviously want to get producing food, but we also want to be able to clear this land out and make it look a lot nicer and be a little bit more sort of healthy. Unfortunately, one of the things we do have is a number of large ash trees that are suffering from ash dieback. You can see one here in behind me. I'm going to just if we can just look up into the tree there, and there's about half a dozen that look in a fairly sorry state, and unfortunately probably going to kind of have to come out. That's something that's really common around here. We see stands of ash dieback all through the woods surrounding this property in lots of different places, so it's a bit sad. We do have several huge ash trees that at the moment look like they're in okay condition, so we're really hoping that they can survive. But the rest unfortunately are going to have to come down, and they'll become firewood for the wood burning stove. We'll store them in the shelter that you saw, and then we'll just dry them over the course of a year or so, and then yeah, keep us warm in the winters. So there we are, that's our new small holding. We really want to get as self-sufficient as we can. We want to learn how to grow food, to grow produce, to produce as much of our own energy as we possibly can, reduce our sort of environmental footprint, and really start to sort of learn to live, you know, off the land a bit more, and to be a bit sort of naturally healthy in the way that we live. So if you want to follow that journey, please subscribe, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.